You know, it's hard to start a video you're passionate about, especially without going over your head. So I think I'd rather start this off with a story that dates at the end of my year in 11th grade, because that time relates to State of Decay, and I hope it helps you relate to me. So I just graduated the 11th grade. This was also around the last few months of the last console generation. I'm talking Xbox 360 to Xbox One and PS3 to PS4. This was a time of excitement for the console community, where we finally get to upgrade and break the barriers of console gaming. But in those few months, it was very dry in gaming, as most AAA titles were working on, or much AAA devs were working on much bigger projects. So we would wait about half of a year after school ended just to finally get our hands on new tech. And for me, that would have been a very long 6 months if it weren't for this game.
At first, they told us just to stay home, lock our doors, and wait for the all clear. Then the power died. No one ever sounded the all clear.
June 5th, 2013. That was the date of the original State of Decay launch. That date was 11 days after summer break started. I remember going over my friend's house and watching him play this zombie game that I've never even heard of. Watching him play it, it reminded me of Grand Theft Auto but with zombies, and that was just my initial response. He also told me that there was a feature where if you die, your story continues on with other community members, and I said, wow, that's pretty sick. So I just kept watching him play it, and then I got super interested and asked him if there's multiplayer. He's like, no. I said, that sucks. He said, yeah, but it's $20. And I said, what? So I gave my friend the laziest excuse to why I had to book it out of his house just to play this game. I tried looking in the Xbox store and I couldn't find it under new games. I kept looking and I just could not find it. So I just decided to search it up. I found it. I was so excited to play this Grand Theft Auto zombie looking game for $20. $20! But it was in a place where I didn't expect, and it made me question the game and its content entirely. You ever went to the mall with your friends to hang out and chill at the arcade and just have a good time? I know I did. I loved arcade games, which is why the Sega Dreamcast was one of my favorite consoles of all time, because it brought the arcade to your house. Xbox 360 had a similar system called Xbox Live Arcade. It was fun, it brought a lot of classics, but it also brought new generation arcade games at our fingertips, like Geometry Wars, for example. Great games, but not sandbox games. So when I saw State of Decay listed as an arcade game, it just threw me off, you know, not in a bad way, but in a way where it opened my mind. And it didn't open my mind as much back then as much as it does now, because now is near the time of State of Decay 2's release. Now, I don't mean for this video to turn into console wars at all, and I can see my opinions having that effect on a lot of people, so I'm going to start this off by saying I'm sorry I offended you, and I mean that on both ends. Now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to tell you the truth about State of Decay 2, because this damage control needs to stop on both ends. Let me start by saying I don't know nearly as much about the upcoming zombie game on PS4 called Days Gone compared to State of Decay 2. But if there's one thing I do know how to do, it's the ability to compare games. but I'm not here to compare State of Decay 2 with Days Gone. I'm not here to give opinions on why I know Days Gone looks better graphically than State of Decay 2, or why I think State of Decay 2 is cheaper and will offer more content. Although I technically gave my opinions right there, but anyways, I'm not here to go on a detailed analysis on that subject, but instead I want to talk about the truth of State of Decay. So let's talk about the most important thing for State of Decay 2 and why it looks the way it does and why it doesn't look as next-gen as most PS4 people want it to be and fairly quite a few Xbox people. I don't know the exact margins, but you could just assume that's roughly how some people feel. Anyways, the original State of Decay game sold over 2 million copies across Xbox 360 and Steam. That's not including DLC. So that means that they made roughly $40 million before the remastered version was even announced. The game advertised itself with its perfect release date in the dry season of console gaming, along with its spin on a zombie survival game. It was just new, fresh, and it was a whole new genre we've never seen before. But as the next generation of console gaming launched, the game was left behind it. State of Decay right now has a die-hard community, but it is also a very small one. The biggest State of Decay news channel, Arcade Gamecast, gets 2 to 3K views a video, which is, in my opinion, isn't enough. So the voice of the State of Decay community is not strong enough. The last generation got buried, that being the console, the game, and the community. You see, this is why it hurts me when people say they put no love into the sequel. Yes, I get it, it's easy to compare Days Gone to State of Decay 2, but is it fair? Is it fair when people say Xbox has a new console and this is the game they come out with? There's a hidden truth that a lot of people bury and forget about State of Decay. State of Decay 2 is a community-driven game. A very small community. And Xbox knows State of Decay has a small community. That's why it's so goddamn cheap. That's why they have Game Pass. Xbox knows the market's hit in gaming, and that's communities within games. They want games to have longevity to them. They want games to be made for the players and be judged by the players so it can be improved for the players. But instead, we can't help but punch them in the face and say, you have one more chance, You have one more chance, Xbox. I swear to God, if you don't make Last of Us 10, we're done. We're out of here. We're completely out of here. You know? But to be fair, there's one thing Xbox has been sucking at, and it is the loss of community connection. I know the irony in that overall, but that is what they're focusing on now. Because at the end of the day, communities are everything. You know, they are power, they are money, and they are the key to making a great game even better. Let me tell you, you can't please everyone, but you can sure as hell see what most people want. And that's what State of Decay 2 is, a community-driven game. Days Gone is not a community-driven game. It's a one-and-done game. To be fair, it's a brand new game. And Days Gone 2 could be a community-driven game. But what I'm trying to get at the point is, you know, Days Gone is one and done, wait for DLC, and move on type of game. Although it may feature multiplayer, like The Last of Us did. But you see, that's why it's hard for me to compare the games when all you can say is the game looks better than the other, especially when they're both obviously going in different directions. I am going to play Days Gone. I'm going to play State of Decay 2. I'm going to probably love both. But the difference in my eyes is I'm going to have triple the hours into State of Decay than I am Days Gone. So the point of what I was trying to get to is, don't say one game is better than the other just based on graphics and how personal the experience, because State of Decay 2 is just not that type of game. It was never meant to be The Last of Us of Xbox One. It was meant to be the State of Decay of Xbox One. And that's what I think a lot of people forget or just bury in general. The original State of Decay didn't have the best story overall, but the stories of people's personal lives in that game and hearing how they lived through the apocalypse and what they had to do will forever be my favorite storylines in any game. And don't get me started on the third installment of State of Decay. That's a video for another time. This has been ItzLuBu, signing out.